You walk into a sporting goods store on day one, and you've got maybe 10 minutes before the parking lot becomes a feeding zone. What do you grab? If your first instinct is a machete, a baseball bat, or God forbid a katana, congratulations. You just armed yourself like someone who's watched The Walking Dead, but never actually swung a blade at a moving target for longer than 30 seconds. You're not Michonne. You don't have her core strength, her training, or her plot armor. What you have is about 48 hours before your fantasy loadout gets you killed in a way that's both predictable and embarrassing. Here's the thing most people don't realize. The weapons that look badass in movies are optimized for drama, not survival. They're designed to make audiences go, holy shit, when the hero pulls off a perfect strike. But you know what doesn't make for good television? Showing the protagonist's hands blistering after 20 minutes of actual combat. Showing them completely gassed after their third engagement because they picked a weapon that requires Olympic-level conditioning to use effectively. The survival rate for people who arm themselves based on movie logic is catastrophically low. We're talking single-digit percentages making it past week one. And it's not because they chose the wrong brand of machete. It's because they fundamentally misunderstood what combat in a collapse actually looks like. So let's be real for a minute. I'm about to walk you through the 6 weapons you actually need. Not the 6 that make you feel like a survivor, but the 6 that keep you alive when your shoulders are screaming, your hands are numb, and the thing coming at you doesn't care about your carefully researched blade steel. These aren't sexy. Some of them are going to piss you off because they contradict everything you've been told. But here's what separates preparation from fantasy. You don't get to respawn. You don't get a training montage. You get one loadout, and it either works or it doesn't. Before we get into this, if you're the kind of person who thinks about these scenarios seriously, who wants actual tactical breakdowns instead of Hollywood bullshit, hit subscribe and the notification bell. All right, let's set parameters. We're talking about Romero-style slow movers with standard transmission through fluid contact, bites, deep scratches. You're in a suburban environment transitioning to urban. You've got civilian fitness levels, not spec ops conditioning. No unlimited ammo, no safe zones. And most importantly, you don't have specialized training in medieval weaponry, just because you watched some YouTube videos. You're starting from zero with whatever skills you actually possess right now, today, sitting in your chair. The first weapon you need is the one everyone dismisses because it's boring as hell, a crowbar. Not a fancy tactical pry bar with a $1,000 price tag and a name like Breacher Pro. I'm talking about a 30-inch steel crowbar from any hardware store, preferably with a curved claw end. Cost? $20. Glamour factor? Absolute zero. Survival value? Catastrophic if you don't have one. Here's why most people skip it. It doesn't feel like a weapon. It feels like something your dad keeps in the garage for pulling nails. There's no edge, no point, no satisfying swing sound when you draw it. It's heavy and awkward and deeply unsexy. But here's what it actually does. It opens doors without making noise. It pries windows. It breaks locks. It shifts debris. And when you absolutely have to engage, it delivers blunt force trauma that doesn't require edge alignment or precise angles. The thing about bladed weapons that no one tells you, they require technique. A machete needs proper swing mechanics or you just bounce off bone. A sword needs edge alignment or it talks in your grip and does fuck all damage. But a crowbar, you swing it like you're hammering a steak. The learning curve is about 15 seconds. And when you're exhausted, when your hands are slick, when you're operating on 2 hours of sleep, that simplicity is the difference between effective and dead. Plus, it's multifunctional in ways that keep you alive between encounters. Day 3, you need to get into a pharmacy that's been barricaded. Your machete is useless. Your tactical tomahawk is useless. But your crowbar opens that door in under a minute, quietly, without drawing every corpse in a 3-block radius. That pharmaceutical access might save you from a simple infection that would otherwise go septic. See how this works? The weapon that feels least like a weapon does the most to keep you breathing. The second weapon is going to make you angry. A pickaxe handle. Not the full pickaxe, just the handle. 36 inches of seasoned hickory, about 1.5 inches in diameter, weighing maybe 2 pounds. No metal head, no spikes, just wood. You're already objecting. That's not even a weapon, that's a stick. Exactly. It's a stick that lets you keep engagement distance at over 3 feet, weighs almost nothing, and won't fatigue you after 6 swings. You can use it all day. You can hand it to someone with zero training, and they'll be 70% effective immediately just by jabbing the end into faces. It's fast, it's light, and it solves the problem everyone with a heavy weapon discovers around hour 4. You can't maintain combat effectiveness when your weapon weighs 12 pounds and requires both hands. Here's the obvious solution trap. Everyone wants reach and stopping power. So they go for something like a splitting maul or a sledgehammer. Massive damage potential, great reach. Sounds perfect until you try to use it in a real engagement. Your first swing, beautiful. Devastating. Drops the target clean. Second swing, still good. Form's getting sloppy, but you connect. Third swing, you're breathing hard. Your grip's loosening. Fourth swing, you're slower now, telegraphing, and the one coming from your left is inside your range before you can recover. The pickaxe handle doesn't stop them dead unless you get lucky. But it doesn't need to. It keeps them off you. You can strike, reset, strike again, maintain distance, and you're not gassed after 90 seconds. In a scenario where you might face multiple encounters per day for weeks, sustainability matters more than alpha strike damage. That confidence you're feeling about your stopping power right now, that's mistake number 1. You're optimizing for the wrong metric. The third weapon actually is bladed, but it's probably not what you're thinking. A fixed blade knife. Not tactical, not serrated, not some mall ninja fantasy piece. 4 to 5 inches of blade, full tang construction, simple design. Think Mora Companion or similar. Cost, $30 to $60. You don't use this as a primary weapon. You barely use it as a secondary weapon. This is your tool that occasionally becomes a weapon when everything else has failed and you're in grappling range trying not to die. Its real job is cutting cordage, processing materials, food prep, medical applications, breaching packaging. But when you're pinned, when you're on the ground, when distance has collapsed, a reliable blade in a solid sheath might be what saves you. The mistake people make is going big. They want a Bowie knife or a Ka-bar or something with a 7-inch blade that could definitely decapitate a zombie. Have you ever tried to draw a 7-inch fixed blade from a belt sheath while someone's on top of you? It catches on your shirt. It tangles in your jacket. It requires 2 hands and 6 inches of clearance you don't have. A 4-inch blade clears the sheath in one smooth motion even when you're compromised. Plus, and this is critical, you're going to use your knife 50 times more often for non-combat purposes. You want something that doesn't fatigue your hand during extended cutting tasks, that's easy to maintain, that you can sharpen with basic tools. Your fantasy blade with the blood groove and the finger guards and the tactical coating, that's a liability you're maintaining instead of a tool that's maintaining you. The fourth weapon pisses off everyone who loves historical arms, an aluminum baseball bat. Not wood. Aluminum. Specifically, a standard adult aluminum bat, 30 to 32 inches, about 20 to 25 ounces. Every sporting goods store in America has a dozen. You probably have one in your garage right now. Here's what people say. Aluminum dents, wood doesn't. True. Aluminum dents. Know what wood does? It cracks, splinters, and breaks, usually on the hit that you really needed to land. An aluminum bat will dent and keep swinging. I've seen testing where aluminum bats remained functional after hundreds of impacts. The wood bat snapped at 47. You know what's more catastrophic than a dent? Your primary weapon turning into 2 pieces of kindling while you're actively engaged. The other argument is weight and feel. Wood has better balance, better feedback. You're not playing in the majors. You don't need perfect balance. You need reliability and reach and enough mass to deliver trauma without requiring perfect technique. An aluminum bat gives you 30 inches of standoff distance and enough momentum to disrupt motor function even if you don't hit perfectly. And here's the part nobody considers. Sound discipline. A wooden bat makes a sharp crack on impact. An aluminum bat makes a duller thunk. In an environment where noise draws threats, that difference matters over days and weeks. Every engagement is a broadcast to everything in audible range. The quieter you can be while still being effective, the fewer cascading problems you create. The fifth weapon requires explanation because most people have never heard of it. A boar spear. Not a hunting spear, not a javelin, specifically a boar spear. It's a spear with a broad blade and, critically, a crossguard that prevents over-penetration. Total length, 6 to 7 feet. Cost, if you can find one, $100 to $200. Cost, if you make one, about $40 in materials. This is your ultimate standoff weapon. You can engage from 7 feet out. You can strike, push, control space, and most importantly, you can do it without the target getting hands on you or your weapon. The crossguard is what makes it work. It stops the blade from going so deep you can't extract it, because here's what happens with a regular spear. You stab, it penetrates deep, and now you've got a corpse stuck on your weapon and 3 more coming while you're trying to lever it free. The boar spear solves this. You thrust, the crossguard stops penetration at maybe 4 inches. You withdraw and reset in under a second. The obvious objection, where the hell do I find a boar spear in a collapse? You don't. You make one. A 6-foot hardwood dowel, a leaf-shaped blade from a landscape edging tool or large knife, and 2 pieces of steel rod for the crossguard. Basic fabrication, maybe 4 hours of work if you've never done it before. Or you adapt a modern boar spear from online retailers while society still has shipping. The reason people skip this is pure practicality. It's long, it's awkward indoors, you can't carry it everywhere. True. But when you're setting up a defendable position, when you're manning a doorway, when you need to hold a stairwell, there is no better tool. It turns one person into a credible threat that can control an approach. And in a scenario where defensible positions mean everything, that's not optional equipment. That's survival infrastructure. The 6th weapon is going to sound insane until you think about it. A framing hammer. Not a claw hammer. A framing hammer. 22 to 28 ounces. Straight or ripping claw, about 16 inches total length. This lives on your belt in a dedicated hammer loop. This is your close quarters problem solver. Here it's too short to be a primary weapon, but it's instantly accessible, requires no draw motion, and delivers massive kinetic energy to a small impact point. The claw end is particularly useful, not for combat, but for breaching, prying, pulling, demolition. You can sink it into a wooden door and lever the thing open. You can tear through drywall to create exit routes. You can pull boards off windows. The combat application is simple. When everything else has failed, when you're in arm's reach, the hammer comes off your belt and goes into the skull in one motion. No swing up required, no edge alignment, no technique. It's a point and deliver weapon that works even if you're terrified, and your fine motor control is gone. People skip it because it seems redundant. You've already got a crowbar. Why do you need a hammer? Because the hammer lives on your body and deploys in under a second. The crowbar lives in your pack or your hand. There will be situations where you need immediate access to a force multiplier and you don't have time to unsling a bag or shift grip. The hammer is your answer to I need a weapon right now and I need it to work without thinking. Let's put this together. Your actual loadout, crowbar in hand or easily accessible. Pickaxe handle strapped to pack or in hand depending on environment. Fixed blade knife on belt. Aluminum bat secured to pack. Boar spear at your defendable position. Framing hammer on belt loop. Total cost if you're buying new, under $300. Total weight, maybe 12 pounds excluding the spear. Compare that to the fantasy loadout most people assemble. Tactical tomahawk, machete, combat knife, maybe a sword or that goddamn katana. Same weight, triple the cost and a quarter of the functionality. Because here's what separates tools from toys. Tools solve multiple problems. Toys solve one problem in a very specific way that looks cool, but breaks down under real conditions. Now, the brutal assessment. If you arm yourself with this loadout, are you unstoppable? Absolutely not. Will you survive indefinitely? Highly unlikely. But your chances of making it through the first month increase dramatically. You've got standoff capability with the spear, you've got sustainable combat with the handle and bat, you've got breach capability with the crowbar, you've got emergency response with the hammer, you've got utility with the knife. More importantly, you've got a loadout that you can actually use for extended periods without specialized training. You can hand the pickaxe handle to someone who's never been in a fight and they'll be functional. You can swing the bat when you're exhausted and still connect. You can deploy the hammer when you're scared shitless. None of these require you to be a warrior. They require you to be competent. The practical advice is simple. You don't chase mall ninja aesthetics. You don't optimize for movie moments. You assemble tools that work across multiple scenarios, that don't require peak performance to be effective, and that you can maintain without a forge and an anvil. You train with them, not for hours until you're a master, but for 20 minutes until you understand their limitations and capabilities. And here's the part that everyone hates. You acknowledge that weapons don't save you. Tactics save you. Weapons are just the tools you use to execute tactics. The best weapon in the world doesn't help if you're in a bad position, surrounded, exhausted, and alone. The loadout I just described gives you options. It doesn't give you guarantees. So here's your turn. Look at what you've got right now. Honestly, assess your current armory against what I just laid out. Are you armed for Instagram or for a month-long collapse? Do you have tools that solve multiple problems or fantasy pieces that solve one? Can you actually use your weapons for more than 5 minutes before fatigue makes you ineffective? And the big one, if you had to grab your kit right now and defend a position for 72 hours, would your shoulders survive the first day? Would your hands still work on day 2? Would your primary weapon still be intact on day 3? Drop your actual loadout in the comments. Not what you wish you had, what you've actually assembled. Let's talk about what works, what doesn't, and what adjustments you should make before shit hits the fan. Because the time to realize your weapon choice is wrong is right now, when you can fix it. Not day 3, when you're improvising with a snapped bat handle and deeply regretting that katana. And if this breakdown helped you think differently about your kit, subscribe and hit that bell. We're cutting through the fantasy, focusing on what actually keeps you alive, and building a community of people who respect physics more than movies.